recording. Hello, welcome to this episode of the Slow Parenting live stream on Nostalgia Media via YouTube. Family from across the globe, thank you so much for keeping a date with us again. My name is Richie Adewusi. Okay, today we're winding down our series on the parenting and discipline, uh, issue areas. And today we have prepared ourselves. I hope you're prepared too. We have our eyes all fixed on tomorrow, the future. Yes. Okay, that is why we have asked you to stop parenting for today, which happens to be the topic today, or if you like, the title of this particular podcast, this live stream. Stop parenting for today, meaning parenting for tomorrow. Okay, you parent with your eyes on tomorrow, meaning who do you want those children, those young people to be tomorrow? Not just getting them prepared for today and get lost in the activities of today. Maybe in the process, we forget that things change. Okay, so what is important is for us to prepare our children and young persons to be able to handle change as they move on themselves. In other words, we provide them with information, the skills, and if you like, processes that would help them to make informed decision uh, as they go on in life, especially at those times that you will not be there. That's important. To tell you how important that is, my mother, my father, okay, somebody will say it's not your fault. Go and hold them. Now, my mom, my dad are not here. I've made several references to my children. They're not with me here. They're in different places where they are going on with their lives. So are your own children, some of you. So would your own children, some of you, at the appropriate time. So it's important that whilst parenting today, we have our eyes fixed on tomorrow, okay? So that all the efforts we are making today don't just fall on their faces with children who, oh, let me go and ask mommy. And then the partner will say, excuse me, whether it's the male or the female, let me go and ask mommy. Let me go and ask daddy. No, that's a recipe for disaster in that relationship. Okay, so you do not want such to be there. It doesn't mean we're not saying that your relationship with your children would cease even as they get into their own relationships, either school, work, or partnership, marriage, or own homes. No, they retain their relationships with you, but then they need to be in positions to be able to instruct themselves going forward from the foundation you build today. That's what we're talking about. We're not saying get out of picture. No, it's what you do today, what they see you do today. We can talk about that enough. And then we have some, if you like, practical ways and steps that will help you. You know, I saw again an interesting video of a young child, a young female child. Yeah, is auditioning for makeup artist. Okay, but then with all the soaps and the jellies and all of that and all over her face, and then you will see her, you'll be wondering, who is this? Yeah, last episode it was about a child who uh made a discovery, a very important discovery, because he didn't keep that gold mine of yam flour properly. he made the discovery like Monko Park who discovered River Niger, right? Yes, but the River Niger was there already, easily accessible by the locals who know the way, who took him there. But this young boy, this young child that we showed you last week, only had to wander into the kitchen and found the container of that particular food stuff, and then proceeded to play with it. So this video for today too is about a young girl who went into the bathroom, and went to, obviously the mother's, the sink and all the face wash, mouthwash, and all of that, and then succeeded in, dousing herself with all of it and looked very nice for the camera, So what would that mean? Okay, in terms of talking about tomorrow, it's a young child who like, you're messing this up, you're wasting it. Or it might be true, but that's an opportunity for you to have that discussion. Why are you doing that? Oh, mommy, I would like to, you hear some things. Okay, thank you, Florence, for joining us on TikTok. Thank you so much. Thank you, Smiley Face, for joining us on TikTok. Okay, so what we're saying here is, first of all, as you get to see our in-house video later, we have itemized things that you should be particular about, practical steps, that you could follow that would help you now and also then help your children and young persons to tomorrow, so that all the stress you go through now to stress, well, training, okay, practice, workouts, not in the gym, school runs, you refuses to sleep. You get to sleep, young woman, young man, because I got to sleep, I have to go to work. So all of those are processes but in those instances that you're trying to put that child to sleep, that you're walking or driving that child, or taking the commuter bus or the metro, or depending on where you live, to school, what goes through your mind as you look at that child? You should see beyond the moment. And what is your picture, the picture in your mind's eye of that child 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? What kind of an adult are you envisaging? The child children, that form of abstract thinking is not their thing. It's now concrete, what they see, what they can hold, color, shape, size, weight, okay, density, and all of that. That's it. Things they can feel, but it's your job to, project. And then they live through your projections until they arrive there, but then you would have prepared them, okay, for that adult you envisage. But let me put a caveat here, please. We've often talked about boundaries. That boundaries are not exempt in that area. So you want a child to be, most parents that I know, even our own parents, they have their own ideas of who they want you to be down the road. But you have your own ideas. Okay? So it would be useful that from time to time, as you are going on those school runs, get into those conversations, whether in the bus, in your car, in whatever mode of transportation you are walking, if the school is close by, or just at some fun time that you're sitting together, find out, well, okay, wow, I saw your results. You studied very hard to attain those results. What exactly would you like to be? Meaning, what job would you like to do when you finish school? All sorts of things will come up. I can share with you one of these books that you see scrolling here, okay? I think it's 7.5 Temptations Parents Face. I would always share with my own experiences with my own children. My first daughter is When she was going through junior secondary school, we sat one day and I'm asking, did you come? What would you like to do? You finished now. You're planning to go to senior secondary. Who would you like to study? She said, I want to be a journalist. I'm like, wait a minute. It's not just about the career, but then it gets the conversation started. Okay. I'm like, why do you want to be a journalist? He said, because you are. I'm like, oh, wait, hang on. Is it because of what I do that you? He said, yes. I'm like, I said, it's good. But then what do you want to do? He said, I want to, that's what I like. Okay, that is phase one. By the time she got to senior secondary, we had that conversation again. That changed from wanting to be a journalist to wanting to be a nurse. I'm like, nurse? Okay, fine. Nurses are good. Why do you want to be a nurse? They are very helpful. They dress neatly in white. I go like, yeah, but doctors are also very helpful to people. They treat people, and they also wear white coats. You get where I'm going? So why are you choosing to be a nurse instead of a doctor? That's me, father. The child says he wants to be a nurse. All of those happen, even when those conversations do happen in parental relationship, where they do happen. Okay? It's not the case, this is who you must be. Well, you ask. But that person who went from wanting to be a journalist to now wanting to be a nurse, today she's an economist. That had nothing to do with any, well, it has plenty to do with both, but then not in the sense of studying and all of that. Okay? So it's important, but then it's not about the results, it's not about the career, it's about the character. What kind of a man, a woman, a husband, a wife, a colleague in the office, so do you see, a schoolmate, a neighbor, would you do you envision your child to become, as an adult? So we begin to walk along those areas, have those conversations. Sure, we've often told you, just from what I told you here now. She said, I want to be a journalist. Why do you want to be a journalist? Because you're a journalist. I'm like, come on. It doesn't have to be because of what do you want to do yourself? And I'm not saying this is how all parents are. For in our nuclear family, then not say the children, this is who you must be. But if you read the same 7.5 Temptations parent face, you will come by a story in it of why I failed mathematics deliberately. Why? My father wanted me to be an engineer, or, well, yes, a doctor, and I had no interest in any of those things, really. I've always wanted to write. And you can't win that conversation. You can't win that contest like that. So there was no need. And please don't try this at home. If you're a young person listening to me now, please don't try it, okay? Please. I'm glad my dad was no longer around by the time I wrote that book and told that story in it. I would still have faced him and we discussed it, but then fortunately, I was, spared of that because he had passed on by the time I wrote that book and had it published. Okay, so, and I couldn't go home and present my school certificate results with, without mathematics in it to say I was absent. You would have to explain where you were when the exam was taking place. So what did I do? I had to register my presence by sitting for only the objective, examination of mathematics, the objective, only. I didn't go for the paper two. So of course, I knew I failed even before the result came out. And that was the only 9, if you like. In Nigeria, is 9, it's F9 in my result of many A's in it. So, and in Nigeria, which is another thing that the persons working on education curricula should really look at. This whole idea that if you don't pass mathematics, you cannot do some programs, I don't think is the best. Okay, I think they're already maybe working on it. So that means in Nigeria, as a matter of fact, if you do not have mathematics, there's hardly anything you could do, not even the humanities. Okay, so your result must be extremely very good for you to be considered to do some other thing. Mine still was, and it still is. So I showed the result and was like, what happened? That's what they give me. No, it's not what they give. It's not what they give you or give him or her. It's what they studied. It's what I studied. It's what I wrote. That's the mark that they gave me. And like I said, it's deliberate. I put it in the book and I explain in that book, just like I'm saying here now. Please don't try it at home. Don't do that. Okay. Instead, I didn't know. I didn't know I didn't know what I know now then. I didn't. Okay. I would have been bold enough to say that this is what I want. Of course, I said this is what I want to do, but you don't argue, you don't yes, and I was even still lucky, really. My dad was a very, very approachable father. But at the same time, there was this unwritten rule that we can't go contrary to what they want us to do or wanted us to do at that time. And it's not too different from what happens in, well, most homes till today. Okay? There's another story of a child that the young man that the father actually wanted to be a medical doctor by all this. And that young man didn't have interest in medicine, just wanted to be an artist, a fine artist. So that led that child into so many deviant behaviors. And actually graduated as a medical doctor, but then there was a catastrophe. They've said something that shouldn't happen. In the process of performing his medical functions, he was a surgeon, accidentally, but then at the end of it, it was like, could it be because he didn't want to be a doctor or whatever? He forgot some of the surgical equipment inside the sutured patient. Oh yeah, it was a terrible one, okay? But like we say, we're not discussing professions, we're discussing, character, okay? Who do I want this child to be? Okay? Because of that, how you relate with that child becomes firmed up. Because you are looking at, with this child, the response I'm giving now, the reactions I'm presenting now, would it shame this child? Or would it make this child bold to ask questions? If he or she could ask questions here, he or she would ask questions tomorrow. And in asking questions, you get answers that you could, process to, because of the training you would have been given by your parents, arrive at, a decision that would work for you and also work for, in most cases, everybody else involved. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Nancy Romy One, for joining. Thank you so much for joining on TikTok. Thank you, Tara Gilmore James, for joining. Thank you. So once you have that picture, try to write the things you would want to see down. It helps you. It helps you, okay? Write down, what do I want this person to be like? Who do I want this child to be? Ask the questions yourself. Don't ask the child. You didn't say go to ask the child, because it's what will help you in your conversations, in your reactions to behavior. in your reactions to things that trigger you to want to behave in a particular way, even with boundaries. Okay? This becomes part of your boundary setting for yourself. Remember last episode, last edition, we said that you might be the one who actually needs discipline. Yes, this is part of that process. Remember, this whole series is on parenting and discipline. Okay, so you would have to condition yourself to help in conditioning your child or your young person. Okay, you also then need to, any individual that is not organized, it'll be a long shot to in later on in life. I can tell you that for sure. When we were growing up, we used to go ask our aunts if our mom was really our mother. Because in spite of the fact that there were housekeepers, gardeners, washermen, and all of that, she made sure we did personal things, specific, including cook. Yes, cook. At unlikely times when you should be cooking, cook your lunch when you come back from school. Yes. But today, I enjoy cooking. My friends know, those who are around me know. I enjoy cooking because of, what we thought was some kind of high-handedness, harshness. How could she be our mother and be putting us through this? When you come back from school, you can't even just eat the food and you have to, and there's a cook, there's a steward. Okay? And that was the only time you were allowed to go inside the kitchen. Not for breakfast, not for dinner. It's only when you come back from school. And we learn, like I said today, I enjoy cooking. I teach people how to cook. Yes. And I cook for people to just enjoy the meals, okay? And you need to celebrate the performance, not the results, the efforts, okay? To get that child to be able to processes and own processes. Celebrate them. Don't wait is rehearsing or practicing for an inter-house sports event, for instance. It's only if he goes to do the 100-meter dash in 5 seconds that you clap. No, the effort, the waking up and going on the starting block, the imaginary one, nail that, bend down the starting block. Okay, go. That process, celebrate, hey, yes. From you waking him or her up to the child or young person now taking the initiative to wake up and start that process, that person is already on the way. That's discipline. You started it. You processed it. You instituted it. Okay? Then you have, put that in place for the child to know that for me to attain anything, I have to go through this. The result is what everybody sees in most people's lives. The World Cup is going on now in 3 countries in North America. North America, yes. Okay? What people see is what those players do. People see how they arrived at those stages in their early ages, how the parents, took them to club training program, youth club training program. I spent some time with, I didn't have, none of my children got involved in organized athletics or sports. But I had the privilege of spending some time with a friend in London whose child was playing football, and very early weekends, of course, it was weekend that they would go to play youth football we went into many suburbs around London, competitions and all. The father was always there, and he would just parent. The touchline, hey, go, 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 go. Yeah, it's a process, but that's a process that needed to happen before you see them now at the world stage. Those parents, my friend, has seen the child. I don't want to mention the name. If I mention the name now, you will know the person, because this young boy then now plays for the US national team. Or that young boy then now plays for the US national team. It's just a picture of the father. I mean, cold London weather. We would get into the car and drive to the place, and you get to wonder, what have I come here to do? But you see when the children gather and they're playing, they are so happy. You forget the weather, the coldness, or whatever. You are in their world. You're clapping. Today, it is the whole world that is clapping for them. But it took parents, it took a father. Some is the whole family that will bring that young man to come and play youth soccer at the weekends. Okay? Discipline started there. Now, is being showed off at the world stage. Okay? And there's another thing you must do constantly. That question, you must not stop asking yourself that question. And what's the question? Who do I expect this child, this young person, to be as an adult? Write it down, put it somewhere, your bathroom mirror, use it as your device or phone screensaver, so that every day you see it, it reminds you that that's a process you need to work on. Yourself, not the child. You don't know. It's not you going to ask the child, who do you want to be tomorrow? It's you asking yourself, who do I want this? That will govern your conversation, your relationship, even in the areas of you did right, you did wrong. You follow the process, not the results. Following the processes help you to go into those discussions, those interrogations, those conversations with the aim of clarifying, teaching, okay, mentoring. All right. So, yeah, we don't leave you with half packages. Okay. So we have produced for you again an in-house video detailing all of this in step-by-step formats that you could go back to, that you could even send to another friend. Please remember, if you've not subscribed to our channel already, please do subscribe. But if you have subscribed, thank you for doing so. You'll also be supporting us by picking up any of these books. From the next episode, we're going to be talking about a program that you could choose to become part of. It's a quarterly webinar we're running for parent bonding. Okay, we've talked about it last season, but then we now decided to roll out. That time we also told you we're going to be rolling that out later on in the year. So we are at the point now we want to now roll that out. It's been rolled out in terrestrial environments in different countries that we have partnerships in. But then we also now want to make it possible for parents who would want to be part of this program to register online and attend webinars directly without going through their PTAs and all of that. Because when I explained that, I said it was a friend that brought me to that point, because I wasn't considering that. We weren't considering that. He said, Richie, look, what's your problem with this whole PTA thing? All my children are in the university, so what do I do? Send them back so I can be members of PTA. The university have PTA. I'm like, okay, what do we do? So we had to come up with a product, a program that would help such parents, okay, and other parents that their PTAs, the PTAs in the school that their children attend might not have enrolled, this program might not have gotten to them, because we only roll out where we have built partnerships with local with residents, local residents of those countries, of those communities, of those states and those regions. So yes, we'll be talking about that for the whole of our next episode. So at this point, we're going to play you our in-house video. When we return, wow, there are quite a number of questions and comments here from community members. We'll take this. Okay, so don't go away. Please, thank you so much. Watch the video.
Dear parents, in the daily urgency of parenting, school runs, the homework battles, the bedtime resistance, it is easy to lose sight of the question that should govern every one of those moments. Not, how do I get through today, but, who am I building for tomorrow? This final episode in this series of parenting and discipline is about that question. This is episode 9, the final episode in our parenting and discipline series on the #SlowParenting podcast, drawn from Dr. Richie Adewusi's upcoming book, Effective Parenting Strategies, The Power of Positive Discipline. Please subscribe now because this series ends here, but our parenting conversations continue every week. Here are 5 ways to parent with the long game in view. 1. Evaluate every discipline decision against its long-term message. Take a response you use often, for example shouting when toys are not packed away, and ask, what is this teaching my child about who they are? If it teaches fear or shame, replace it with one that says, you are capable, and mistakes are how we learn. Over time, that builds children and young people who see correction as guidance rather than as proof that something is wrong with them. 2. Write the adult you are raising. Write one paragraph describing the adult you expect your children to become at age 40, their character, not their career. For example, someone who takes responsibility without being asked. Then ask if your parenting style today builds toward that. This gives you a clear standard to measure daily choices against, so decisions stop being random reactions and start becoming part of a bigger picture. 3. Build self-regulation into daily routines. Hand your children and young people a small genuine decision daily. For example, letting a child choose which homework subject to start with, or how to resolve a minor disagreement with a sibling before you step in. Practiced consistently, this produces children and young people who can think for themselves, manage their own choices, and take responsibility without someone standing over them. 4. Celebrate growth over performance consistently. End each day with one growth observation per child. For example, instead of, you got full marks, try, you prepared for that and it showed. This builds a kind of motivation that outlasts any grade or trophy, as well as children and young people who keep trying after setbacks and measure their own progress rather than chasing approval. 5. Return regularly to the question that governs everything. Write, what kind of person am I raising? And place it somewhere you will see it every morning. For example, on your bathroom mirror or phone lock screen, so it shapes decisions before they happen, not after. Returning to this question daily turns ordinary moments into building blocks for the relationship and the adult you are working toward. These 5 commitments transform parenting from daily survival into deliberate legacy building, one decision at a time. Please watch our live stream on this topic, where this topic is discussed at length. Please engage and drop your questions. Let's interact as a community. Thank you for watching. If this video is helpful to you, please like, share, and leave your thoughts in the comments section. Kindly share with other parents who are navigating this, and stay connected with the #SlowParenting podcast community. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode in this series.
come back, okay? Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching that video. And then, like we always say, it's available for you to download, to share. You know, from the YouTube channel, there is available as a short video. You can share it as many times as you like. It's free. Okay. And then please subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. And thank you so much if you've subscribed already. We go now into contribution from community members. The first one here says, how do I evaluate my discipline decision in the moment when I am angry? I can't think clearly when I'm triggered. Well, thank you for this question. I would direct you to our last episode, which dealt with the person that needs disciplining in the room might actually be you. So we dwelt on this. We dwelt on this point in the main in that episode. It says there's just some little things you need to do. First of all, need to know your trigger. You need to know the things that trigger you, and to make it holistic. To make everyone to own it. At the times you are having your conference in quotes, to set boundaries, okay? You're asking everybody all the family members to also put on the table their own triggers. So it's not only you, okay? So everybody knows everybody's trigger, but it doesn't mean that those things won't happen, that people won't do those things that will trigger you, especially your children, and even you to your children, okay? So you've discussed your boundaries. It's known, or they are known. This is how it makes me feel when this happens. You also know how what you do make your children, your partner behave or feel. So you would all agree not to let those things happen from you. And then that's why there's consequence, okay? It affects everybody. Nobody's exempt in the issue of consequence. Parents, children, no. There should be fun things sometimes, but then important things, okay? So if you go back to that episode, what we said is, look, you know your trigger, that's first. And when you know you are getting to that trigger point, you can excuse yourself from that environment, meaning remove yourself from that environment. A corner, maybe your room, maybe take a breather, maybe, yes, whatever it is that works for you, you do. Because trigger or not, you still need to deal with the issues that need to be dealt with. So you said, how do I evaluate my discipline decision in the moment when I'm angry? We've said, don't work at disciplining your children when you are angry. That is the whole essence of discuss triggers in your boundaries. I agree on this is how this makes me feel. Please, let's try not to do it. The same thing, the children too, they say their own. So when you know that you are at that point, you take the steps that you would have worked out that bring you back to normalcy. And then you could then go ahead with what you need to do. You don't say, because I'm triggered, that's it. No, you can't think clearly, go clear your head, but still come back and deal with what needs to be dealt with. Thank you. And the second one here said, what if my spouse isn't on board with this approach? Can I do it alone? For us at the Universal Parenting Institute, as a matter of fact, parenting only really works when the two partners are a team. So that's why we say that parenting is a lifetime, full-time job best performed by a team. That is the parents, father, and for us at the Universal Parenting Institute is the father and the mother of that child, of those children, as a team. That's the home team. Okay? your partner is not on board with it, you take your time to explain it more. Send this video, pick up the book. Remember, this is why we write books. This is why I write these books. Some people don't believe things until they've read them themselves. Okay? Whether it's the audio version the person would like, or the e-one, or the hard copy one, buy it as a gift. Okay? Incidentally, you can't buy this one now, but you can send these short videos. The book is not ready. The book is not going to be ready till about December or so. Okay? So it's not going to be available till about December. But then we've gone through all that is in it, and all that is in it is included or are included in the 9 episodes we have done in the series. That means there are 9 short videos on parenting and discipline, okay? Addressing parenting gaps. So you have a task for or of bringing your partner on board, okay? But then your partner too, all you need is his or her permission to say, okay, this is what's going on. I know you don't have time, or we have agreed, but reach an agreement. Let it be that it's what 2 of you have agreed. That you are the one, performing this particular role. There's nothing wrong with it. You were in agreement first. We've always said, play in 7.5 Temptation Parents Face. We use the term good cop, bad cop when it comes to the issue of discipline. This is part of it. Okay, but agree. Okay? There were things that happened to us when we were kids. I've shared so many times. I can't recollect my father touching me this way once. But you know what I mean? Yeah, physical. But I can't say the same of my mother. But then you see, at some of those instances where it's my mother will deal with you, guess who gave her the power of attorney to do it? Yes, he's our father. And he'll be the first person to tell you sorry. Sorry, but he's the one that empowered that person to do. So it's a team, okay? It's a team. Once you are in agreement, don't get involved in, no, don't mind your father. Oh, don't mind your mother. Don't worry. You are building a time bomb that when it explodes, nobody will be saved from it. Be in the same. Argue with yourselves, agree, and present a common front in the issues concerning parenting your children, even if you are separate, even if you are divorced. That's why I wrote, okay, Effective Co-Parenting, strategies for success. It's a book again. It's there. You would have seen it scrolling. So all of these are valuable, the strategies, practical steps you could take to get these things sorted. The third one here says, this made me think about my long-term vision for my child. And I realized that even I myself am not like how I want my child to be. It's not about you anymore. I will drink to that. It's not about you anymore. Remember, we are not talking about you. But it's good that you have this realization now. Okay? So those things you wished that you could, but then again, the child has to buy into it all. So let it not be a picture that's in only your head. We are saying you should imbibe this character, these behaviors, these processes to now help you mentor this child, train that child to get used to, get disciplined. What's discipline? Get conditioned. That's not all. Conditioning is not all about this, but in this instance now, that's what comes closest. Okay, condition this child to behave in this particular way, so that by then it would have become they would have become second nature to how that child first choice. Like we said, 2 kids to dip his or her hands into and select one behavioral or one response or the other to make informed decisions later in life or from this time going forward, especially at those times you are not there. So what are those places in life or behaviorally that you think you are not that person? That's your wake-up call for your child, for a young person. It's not something you should beat yourself up for. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the gift. Thank you. Thank you, guys, for the gift. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay? Hello, Franz Love. How are you? Thank you for joining my live on TikTok. Thank you. Thank you, guys, for joining. Okay? I hope that's helpful. And another community member here said, how does it apply to toddlers who can't understand long-term concepts? How does this apply to that young boy who was playing with the yam flour in that container last episode? Go and check the short video for last episode. Your children want to be you. They see, they hear. So they copy you, even without you noticing. So consciously, as you discipline yourself to behave in a particular way, they are noticing. And then you might think, oh, it's a toddler, they understand. There's a very funny video. Again, I keep seeing videos, right? Viral. Okay, yeah, it's what I do. So I look out for things and I'm like, wow. There's a mother, there's a child, and then you don't even see the father until the main time when you need to see the father. So they are naming animals. Of course, for that child to be able to say elephant, there would have been processes. This is elephant. So he recognizes it. What is this? Elephant. So the mother said, yeah, we will. He brings a giraffe. He said, what is it? He said, antelope. No. He said, this is not antelope. It's a giraffe. He now brings a chimpanzee. Don't laugh. I wish I could show you that video. And you look at the expression on that child's face. This is not AI. It's real. I said, what is this? And the child paused, looked very attentively at the chimpanzee, the image of the figurine of the chimpanzee, and said, Daddy. And then he now pointed, the dad was seated behind on a sofa, and he now pointed, that's Daddy. And then the camera now zoomed to the dad, and then you look at the dad and look at the chimpanzee. It's so funny. And then you ask these days with TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and all of those short videos and memes, what else could upset anybody? Okay? Your child is calling you chimpanzee. You did not do that when we were growing up to say your father or your mother looked in any particular, you're dead. It's not even a case of I'm joking or whatever. But what does that child know? But he had that freedom. So the question here was, how does it apply to toddlers? It applies to toddlers because they watch what you do. It's now in the ways you do. That child to recognize elephant, you've been saying this is elephant. Yeah, but that's not school. That's you at home. That's a parent. And that child has learned how to name things, identify things, and could identify that there's a semblance. I'm sorry, very sorry. It's not me. I didn't shoot the video. There's a semblance between that. He said, no, this can't be an animal. This looks like my daddy. Daddy. And then he pointed to the father. Daddy. And everybody was laughing. The child wouldn't understand why they were laughing. But that's what it means to me. There's communication. There has been communication. There has been two-way communication relationship in that home. Remember what we've been saying in the course of this program, that communication itself, according to Professor Wilberstrom, has no life of its own, except what people in a communication relationship put in that relationship. So you are conditioning. I'm using the word conditioning consciously again now and then, consciously and cautiously, okay? You are getting that child to get used to reasoning in particular ways, but not in ways that they would depend on you to make decisions. No. The way they're saying that they have the freedom, like that child has freedom to name what they should have, to make her to say, okay, that looks like daddy, that's daddy. Everybody laughed. Because if you tie your children's thinking to your apron, you're building a time bomb. You'll be seen as a very wicked mother-in-law. Somewhere down the road, you're always prognosing into what we are doing. I say, no, I'm just helping my son. I need to let him know. I need to know how he's handling this. No, you don't need to. If you have done that job now, even from that toddler age, okay? That's daddy, meaning daddy is a chimpanzee. Eh? You also need to have that discussion. Everybody could laugh about it. The father might not do anything with the child at any time, but the father will face you. You are the one taking him through animals, so I now look like a chimpanzee to you, right? So you still need to go to, no, that's a chimpanzee, that's not daddy. Daddy is big, is bearded, is well, yes, but that's not daddy. This is chimpanzee, that is daddy. You need to make this differentiation, or else there will be third world war in your home, even when everybody is laughing, okay? My child packs away toys when I shout. When I speak calmly, she ignores me. How do I break that gap? Because you focus on the shouting. We said, don't look at the result. Let it be, okay, do you like how this place is? No. Remember, you already have boundaries. Don't scatter toys. Simple. Do you like how this place is? No. What did we agree on? You don't shout. That doesn't bring shout. There's an agreement, and there's a consequence. The child will go and neatly remove the things, and you will not know it was scattered. But shouting, some children actually want to hear you shout. It thrills them. They will trigger you to shout. Remember, we talked about trigger. So maybe shouting is your turn. The child knows your move button already, as they will say in Nigeria. So he presses the move button, he shouts. He's still watching you. Okay? You're talking gently. No, talk with the law at your back, the boundaries and the consequences for breaking the boundaries. Okay? My 7-year-old cannot in capital letters handle small decisions. 7 years, small decision. He freezes and gets anxious. Should I keep pushing? Well, thankfully you use the word pushing, or forget it. It might be because you have been pushing. We didn't suggest pushing here. How do you handle those small decisions yourself? How does your son see you? Okay? Arrive at decisions. Do you communicate? Do you discuss, this is, I had to do this because of this reason, because of that reason. It might not be at all times, but there will always be time. There should always be time for those talks. And by the way, this is why we created this particular card game that is behind me now. If my guys can just put it up on the screen so that you see. The Talk Points Family Life Education card game is out. It's available now globally through Shopify and QPM, and all the links and the QR code is there. You can scan it. That tool helps your children learn how to get used to how to have discussions, make decisions, okay? Speak without inhibitions, but respectfully. That's what it's designed for. It gives everybody in the family a chance to talk when it's their turn on specific life issue areas, especially those ones that most parents don't like to talk about, but that are important that you can't sweep under the carpet. So if you use a tool like this at home, okay, It will help with it deals with things like assertiveness, self-esteem, okay, decision making, and all of that. So those little, it's not one day. So if you've been forcing, it's not force, it's communication. Forcing is also some form of communication, but that's not a good one. Okay, it's interactiveness. It's in the corrections, the teachable moments. The child does something that is not exactly what that thing requires or how it is supposed to be done. Don't shout. Don't freak out. If you do at that moment, we've said you are triggered already. Calm down. Then later, at a better time, have that conversation. Okay? Don't force. Some children resist. So every human being resists force in different ways. Some will just keep quiet. And like you said here, freezes, gets anxious. This is in your home. Remember, we are saying, who do you want this child now to be as an adult? This freezing will not stop. When he becomes an adult, it might present now in aggression, in violence, at home, in the workplace, in the school. Okay? It feels now I'm big enough now I can answer. Why are you talking to me like that? It's not what that person is saying that is triggering. He's remembering all of the times at home, what he had to endure, but as a child. Now I'm an adult. Some children, they are waiting for that magical age. You know the age? 18. I'm no longer a baby. You can't talk to me like that. You get angry. He's talking to back. Me, the one you're talking to back that way, talking back at that way. No, that wouldn't happen if you initiated and practiced and sustained, interactive communication relationship with your child and young persons, okay? Thankfully, this is the last one here. And it says, if my child has a bad day and there's no growth, do I just say nothing? It's about like the last one that no. What's that bad day about? Interrogate, find out why, and deal with it. Don't say, don't you have bad days? Has your partner quit on you? No. Okay, you still discuss as an adult, you still roll on. So you don't want that your child arriving like you have bad days, then there's no peace at home or at work, at school. Everybody runs away from you. No. Find out what has led to the bad day. Deal with it. You might find out that it's just something that you can, take the child to learn how to, Then how do you handle your own bad day? Remember, they're watching you. Okay? Wow. So thank you very much, all of us on TikTok, on YouTube. Thank you for joining us here today, for being part of the show. Thank you for all the likes. Wow, 5.6K. Thank you so much, guys. Guano, thank you for joining. Sweet Caribbean, thank you for joining. Jasmine Betts, thank you for joining on TikTok. Let's take this live to 6K, okay? We're almost there. It's 5.7. Yes, we're calling it a day now. Thank you so much. Next episode, we're going to be talking about the engendering family bonding webinar, okay? Global webinar. So thank you. I look forward to being with you. I look forward to being here, and I look forward to hosting you at the next episode of the Slow Parenting Podcast and this Parenting for All season live stream on TikTok. Thank you. Till that time again, it's still 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and 7 p.m. West Africa time, including Nigeria. Bye-bye.